Hey guys, happy Thursday. Thanks for stopping by for another video here at alliseeisW, where the goal of this channel is to gain on positive proceeds and lead with an altruistic mindset. In today's video, we'll be covering the latest updates on Ethereum as well as BitMine Immersion technology, ticker BMNR. We'll be covering updates with price predictions using technical analysis as well as just macro updates with what we're seeing, especially with news with CPI data. And we also have PPI data announced yesterday. What does this all mean along with upcoming rate cuts? Is this going to drive Ethereum prices up? And what does this mean for price of BMNR? We'll go through all those details, and I would really encourage watching till the end where I will be playing an epic video clip of Tom Lee. Let's begin, guys.
So, we're still early in September. As you know, we think seasonals favor, our seasonals are wrong, and I think that September will be an up month. We got the jobs report last week, which we think is dovish. This week is going to be August CPI. And then later in September, we get the FOMC rate decision. And as far as strategy goes, we stick with Mag 7 Bitcoin and Ethereum as the AI trade, and then industrials, financials, and small caps, which we think really hinge on a dovish Fed. So stay on target and keep in mind this still remains the most hated V-shaped rally.
So there you heard it from Tom Lee, expecting things to just continue to climb. We're in a dovish market right now. So Tom Lee posted today, CPI incline, dovish, positive for financials, small caps like IWM, and for crypto for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Tom Lee, in fact, he's forecasting Bitcoin will get to 200,000 by end of year, and with Ethereum forecasting to get to 10 to 15,000. CoinGecko posts just in Ethereum reclaims 4,500. That's very bullish. And we're not too far away from the 2021 all-time high, just a few $100s away. Income Sharks posts OBV breaking out before price, extremely bullish. That's a good sign, OBV. If those of you who aren't familiar with that, that has to do with volume. So anytime when you have volume relative to price continue to go up, that means price will eventually follow. It's similar to like M2 global money supply. You see that going up, you're going to see prices of Ethereum and Bitcoin going up in parallel. Ted posts an institution bought $346 million in ETH today. Institutions are buying Ethereum. What does this mean? I mean, we hear, BlackRock, Fidelity continuously buying up, cryptocurrency right now. Why is that the case? They understand the use case. They're hodling as much as they possibly can because in the long term, supply and demand is really going to be the constraint where demand is going to be so high and prices are going to just be much higher than where it currently is. BMNR Bulls posts about Cathie Wood's ARK Invest. In fact, they've been buying Bitcoin for many months now, and they just bought another 1 million shares of BitMine Immersion with over 9.1 million BMNR shares now in their portfolio. That's a whooping 444 million stake in the world's largest treasury company. Is this the ultimate vote of confidence in Ethereum's future? What's your take? Put it in the comments as well, but this is very bullish. In fact, when you think about it, Cathie Wood's ARK Investment, they had, over 250 million shares not too long ago, several weeks. So they've been stacking, dollar cost averaging, below, the, $50 range. When you have it around $40, $45, that's definitely undervalued. We've seen the stock go up to like 170. It pulled back to $30, climbed back up to 70. So we know there's the upside with this stock right now. BitMine BMNR reposts Gordon's post. The ETH breakout people are still fading. First target 8,000 higher. So, forecasting that in this year, we're going to get to first target 8,000 and then we're going to start climbing even further. Put in the comments how high you think Ethereum can go. The Gentle Traveler posts, technical updates. He's identifying two blue diamonds. Today, BMNR is showing relative strength compared to SBET. We've retested the silver support and are moving higher. We got two confirmed blue diamonds today and whale participation slightly increasing increasing. In order for this to continue higher, we need to reclaim the golden trend, which currently sits at $50. The last time SBET was in a similar setup and couldn't close above the golden trend. So let's keep a close watch on how BMNR moves here. So take a look at the blue diamonds we're seeing. So anytime when we see pink diamond, that's bearish. Anytime when we see a blue diamond, that's the indicator we want to see for potential upside that's going to be coming. Mr. Chart Norris posts about BMNR on the 4-hour candle chart. He's posting welcome $55. I think $55 is, very possible. I mean, even in the after hours right now, we're seeing BMNR about at around $50. Donald Dean posts, breakout and new trend higher. BMNR is breaking out and is following a new trend line. Price is moving up to the 618 fib at $56. Potential quick stop there before moving into $60 area. So potential ATM share issuance, but number of shares not disclosed. BMNR has, 2,069 ETH tokens, 192 Bitcoin coins, and 264 million cash. Current shares outstanding, 221 million shares. MSTR had an average NAV multiplier from 21 to 2025 of 1.6. That is a conservative target multiplier, with, ETH getting to like 6,000 BMNR, $57. I posted not too long ago, this is why we DCA the last several weeks on the pullback with BMNR, and this applied to the entire Wall Street, treasury companies. The last several weeks leading up to the first week of September, there was major pullbacks during that time. There was capitulation, fear, uncertainty, but those were the times the dollar cost average. We're back in action, and I'm expecting it to hover up to like 77, $88 before, consolidation zone to the next leg up. Let's shift over to technical analysis now. So what we're looking at right now, Ethereum, broke through, 4,500. We have, the super trend signals. It's, signal a buy since July. We're climbing, ever since it reached all-time high August 2025. It's been just consolidating, got down to like 4,200 at that time. A lot of people were saying, oh, it's the end of the bull run for ETH, but we're not out of the woods. This is looking solid right now. The bigger the base with this consolidation, the bigger the up run. Just having the moving average cross the 9 to 21 day moving average. We had that, that death cross September 1st. Now, when you look at the price, it just broke out of the, the 9 to 21 day moving average. So I'm anticipating we're going to have that golden cross come. And what does that mean? Things are just going to look very favorable along with the catalyst next week with the, the Fed rate cuts. This is going to send crypto Ethereum up to new levels. So watch out for that. Let's take a look at BMNR technical analysis. So we got the squeeze momentum indicator showing, super trend showing, super trend signaling a buy, after just seeing, the price hover in this pennant flag. Good news is we broke out to the upside. I think there's going to be a reversal, whether that's going to be a V shape, U shape, I think there's so much upside. We've seen the potential with this prior resistance to 170. Back in August 12th, about a month ago, it ran up to $72. Definitely dollar cost average is the way to go because we're going to start seeing a V-shaped return. I think we're going to climb somewhere around that $77, $88 range before we consolidate to the next leg up. But on the long-term scale, I really do see BMNR being like the next MSTR stock, getting to triple digit range, and the short squeeze momentum indicator can really kick into gears as soon as we see Ethereum breaking into its all-time high, squeezing above, like 5,500 onward. Let's take a closer look just with the technicals of BMNR. So, just looking at the moving average, 9 to 21 day moving average, we had, the crossing that took place, not too long ago, September 2nd on the, the orange and the green line crossing. But what has happened since? We had price, break out of the 9 day moving average, back in Tuesday, September 9th. And then just recently today, it broke out of its 21-day moving average cross as well. So that's a good sign. That's really going to push up the VWAP, the volume average weighted price, which is good sign for a momentum indicator. Relative strength, it was in the lower range, but now we're seeing it consistently rise. I think with respect to catalysts of ETH, going up in price, we're going to start seeing relative strength kick into gears, and eventually we're going to see this 9 to 21 day golden cross, and soon enough we're going to rock it up to 77.88. Long term, we're headed to triple digits. I think there's so much upside, long-term investment. This is like one of the stocks that could be the next MSTR. And we've seen what MSTR has done over the years from 2020 through 2025.
Well, here's Ethereum's price since 2018. And as you can see, there's two periods I'm shading here. These are called bases. And in Wyckoff's methodologies, they say the bigger the base, the bigger the breakout. And what they mean by that is that you're creating a lot of potential energy as a stock or a network asset bases, and then eventually leads to a breakout. Well, let's look at that breakout. In 2020, that breakout took place, and Ethereum went from $90 to $48.66, or 54 times increase. Well, the low point here in this base was $13.85. So with this breakout, we're expecting an upside move. Is it potentially 54x? I'm not sure, but that's what happened last time. Another way to think about Ethereum is the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio. And in our view, the tailwinds I'm talking about argue for an all-time high in this ratio. The 8-year average Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio is 0.04790. And it's currently 0.04032, meaning we're below the long-term average. The all-time high in this ratio was 0.080727. Of course, it started off higher, but I'm talking about the 2021 all-time high. So we think that not only should Ethereum recover to the long-term average, it should probably get to the all-time high ratio and arguably exceed it as we start talking about Ethereum acting as the chain for both Wall Street to build its payment rails and the financial system, as well as AI. So let's think about what that means for price. So I have a grid here. On the left side is Bitcoin price levels, and then going across are various levels of the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio. Our year-end target, this is from the Fundstrat side, for Bitcoin is $250,000. And if you look at the 8-year average, okay, then you can see the range of prices for Ethereum using this ratio and different levels of Bitcoin. And here's the 2021 high. And as you can see, at a $250,000 Bitcoin, you get to somewhere between $12,000 and $22,000 value per Ethereum token. But that's just a ratio recovery. If you look at the replacement cost of payment rails and the banking system, that gets you to an implied value of Ethereum of around 60,000. And that puts the ratio at roughly 0.2500 Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio. And as you can see, that's how you get to $62,000 per Ethereum token. So plenty of upside. I also asked Fundstrat's Mark Newton for his technical take on Ethereum, and he thinks Ethereum could reach 9,000 by early January. According to him, Ethereum could reach 9,000 in late January, but he also believes that in September, Ethereum could be set to reach somewhere between 5,500 or so.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know what your thoughts are, how high you think ETH can go in this market run, as well as BMNR, what your price prediction is, where you're watching from, what you enjoyed from this video. Thanks, guys, for watching.